himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Nuoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching the Burger King machines off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Standing out from the crowd is a challenge. You have the passion, courage, and ambition to do something extraordinary. You have an awesome story to tell and a wonderful vision to share with the world. At Eddie Videos, we take that vision and turn it into reality so you can be heard above the rest. You need something different, and we give you the ultimate advantage. We can help you transform your ideas, images, and clips into a professional video that brings your message to life and sets a new bar for excellence. Visuals, voiceovers, editing, animations, whatever you need, we've got it all. If you're a new business looking to make your mark or an experienced company searching for something new and amazing, we're here to help. Trust us to take your video to amazing levels of awesomeness.
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros is going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line, though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now, though, for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Radical Race Series here for Season 4 of 2023. It is the halfway mark of this season after this round 6 here this evening at Road Atlanta, and 6 more races after this one before we decide our final champion for 2023. Last time out we had a couple of interesting races at Spa, of course, which culminated in a first race win, in a first appearance for James McRitchie, who managed to get that at the end of the feature race at Spa, and what an 11 laps that was as well. A few more laps around here. Road Atlanta, a very short circuit, but provides plenty of challenge, of course, at the venue. We opened up usage of the Radical SR10 all those seasons ago. James Parfitt, who's alongside me right now, wasn't there for that race, but he is here for this one alongside me, Ewan O'Leary. We're glad to be back at Road Atlanta all over again here in the SR10, although it is used very commonly at this stage in the motorsport season towards the October sort of time. But it's a good circuit to be back at, so we can't complain too much. No room for error around here, and it's certainly a lot of room for good racing with that long back straight and the big braking zone down in towards that final chicane.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. You know, they've got that run from 7 down to 10. I feel like we've been here quite a lot over the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I've been to Road Atlanta quite often. So, yeah, it's going to be another interesting one, I'm sure. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be tough. But if anybody could do it, these guys could do it. And we've got 20 of them out on track at the moment.
And these are the guys who are currently at the top of the championship standings. Luke Maxwell is on the top of them, although only 2 of his 3 drop rounds have been taken into account in this points table. So everybody else inside the top 14 actually have had 3 drop races taken into account, so just bear that in mind as you're looking at these standings. John McCutcheon is second, just ahead of Simon Edwards and James Barry, who are very close to one another. Paul LeMay, Paul Crabb and Paul Clark are 5th, 6th and 7th. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Ben Underdown, James Child and Mike Booston running at the top 10. Sergio De La Cruz is 11th, ahead of Jamie Bird in 12th. Seth Brown is 13th. Darrell Taylor, Phil Glover round at the top 15. Then there's Michael LeMay, just another couple of points back. Clark Williams, Robert Woodward, Damien G and James McRitchie, who's already scored 52 points despite the fact he's only been at 1 round so far. George Gonzaga, is in 21st, ahead of Wayne Palmer. Then it's another point back to Phil Johnson, another point back to Paul Godden. Then Graham Brown running up the top 25. Dave Rosden, quite a few points further back from that. Tom Minor has only been to the Donington Park races, unfortunately, so far this season. Andy Thomas is 28th, ahead of Kean Palmer and Martina Ward. Then we've got Patrick Charlton, Chris Max Davies and Alan Peterson to round out your grid. And Dan Webster, who's, well, not scored any points yet, but he did hint at a rumour that he might be coming back this season. We've not seen that yet, unfortunately, from him, but he's in our standings nevertheless. So Simon Edwards leads in qualifying, or in practice I should say, the only driver to have done a 1:14, but as we have noted throughout the weeks, practice times often don't actually mean that much. You get 2 hours to do those times, and so at this 10-minute session, where you do get as many laps as you want now, but even so, it's about finding a bit of track space, and it's about getting that lap time done in 10 minutes, which is not a very long time, even with the increased opportunities you get around here. You could even squeeze in 8 laps if you're really on it over this session.
Yeah, they've got to really just kind of put their head down and go. So there has been a tweak on the incident limit behaviour this evening. They will give a drive-through every 15 incidents instead of just DQing people when they get to 15 incidents. So they basically said that if you get 15 incidents, you're going to get a drive-through, and then if you're going to get another 15, you'll get another drive-through, and so on and so forth, right? You don't need me to explain that one to you. So every 15, they will have a drive-through. Now, I wouldn't say, unless there's some really big usage of curbs, that they're going to need to use all of them 15 off tracks or 15 incidents, unless there's don't get me wrong, unless there's a mass collision. That's going to be obviously causing a problem, but they have got 15. 15's quite a lot anyway in general here. Over the period of time of the race lengths at the moment here at Road Atlanta, it's 11 laps on the sprint, 19 on the feature. They should be pretty much good to be able to drive these without getting, incidents every single lap pretty much. These guys are fairly expert at driving this SR10, and I doubt very much that they're going to use them all, but they have tweaked that regarding the incident limit. So I thought I'd bring you that information here. Why these guys are just starting their fast laps with Simon Edwards at the front of the field at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to be first to set a time here. So, as he often seems to be, actually. I don't know what it is, but he does often seem to manage that. Purple in the second sector, while Luke Maxwell purple in the first. Only 4 sectors around here due to the slightly short nature of this track. The sector that they're in at the moment really only contains turns 6 and 7. But 7's a very important corner because it does mean that you either get a good or bad run onto the back straight. Simon Edwards clearly got a good one because he's gone purple in that sector as well. Now making his way over the rise and down the hill back towards the stop finish line all over again. He'll set the benchmark for the others. What is the opening time going to be? It's never normally the quickest, and it's a 15.4 from Simon Edwards. Luke Maxwell does a 15.5. That is going to be about half a second off what pole is going to be. You'd imagine we'll be in at least the low 115s later on, if not the high 14s, which Edwards did manage in practice.
Yeah, he definitely will. He's going to be speedy. Now, he hasn't done a lot of practice at this track here, so he did say that he might be a bit wishy-washy, but to be honest, I don't think Simon Edwards has ever really been wishy-washy, and you can see him there setting another purple on the board. So it's going to be, I think, the best of the rest, and I don't mean that in a derogatory term. I just think Simon Edwards, with his 1:14.8, I believe it was, in practice, has just got the little bit of the pace around him at the moment. And, Maxwell's doing a great job. You can see they're splitting sector times on the bottom there in the middle. We've got George Gonzaga, who's just about to go over the line as well. So we'll see what he can do, but I've got a funny feeling this battle could really just be between Maxwell and Edwards, but never count out anybody else. Gonzaga's just got to put it in third place. Simon Edwards going to come over the line once more. 15.13, 15.14 to Maxwell. So it's getting closer. Paul Clark, 15.5, 15.7 for Paul LeMay. So there could be quite a few drivers involved in this one here this evening, Ewan, and probably quite a few, if not the top 8, 16, maybe top 12. All we're going to be within that second mark, I think, as John McHutchison goes a 15.6.
Yeah, he didn't do any practicing, by the way, John McCutcheon, but he's here now, and I think though it's going to be between Edwards and Maxwell, at least in this opening session. McCutcheon does seem to be able to pick it up quite quickly, though, especially in the opening race of the night. He's on it immediately and just needs a decent qualifying performance from here to get on his way to that. There he is in the orange, although he won't be improving with this lap time. He's around half a second back. So is the likes of Paul Clark, Ben Underdown. They're all inside the top 5 at the moment. And within a second, we've got the top 10 within a second of pole at the moment as we go through the halfway mark of this session. Paul LeMay's going quickly at the moment, and he's making his way out of the final chicane right now. Currently down in 7th is LeMay. And this could be a pretty impressive lap time as Simon Edwards does go into the 114s, despite actually not improving at all in the third sector. Paul LeMay has improved in all of them, and he's gone to the front. A 1:14.9 from Paul LeMay, and that has somewhat come out of nowhere. A very strong lap time from Paul LeMay.
Yeah, absolutely, and he has given himself a shot now, has Paul LeMay. He has been an improver and an improver and improver all season long. He's now gone and given himself a crack. For John McCutcheon, he's got to try and see whether or not he can do the same time or be within, a few tenths of the time. He doesn't want to be too far back in that pack because we know how bad that turn 1 can be, and we know that run up to 2 and 3 at the top of the hill is going to be very, very tricky for some of people as well. James Barry just coming over the line. He's going to set a lap time. Where is he going to go? 15.32. He goes into 5th for Barry, but really the Scotsman of John McCutcheon has got his work cut out here. He's got to try and move up in the order. He's got to try and move up and try and get a little bit closer, at least within the top 4 or 5.
See if he can do that. LeMay once again purple in the first sector, but the rest of the lap not so good on that occasion. Same for Simon Edwards, who was in the 120s that lap. He clearly slowed down along the way. Paul Clark improves and stays 5th there. John McCutcheon is going quickly now. It won't be 5th at the end of this lap. Be first 2 rows for John McCutcheon, the reigning champion of the last 2 seasons of this series. He goes over the line. It's a pretty big improvement of 3 tenths, but he's only 7th. And that shows you how close he is. He's less than 4 tenths away from pole, but he's down in 7th.
Wow, that is just absolutely unbelievable. When he had that purple and greens on the board there, I really did think that we were going to see a massive jump from him. I was half expecting him to be within the top 4, but just not doing it there. Ritchie as well, James McRitchie here is going to go over the line. I think this is going to be really his second flying lap. He's going to put himself into 15th. Maxwell's got some purples on the board. 1 at the moment, 2 greens, definitely an improvement. Could be pole position right here for Luke Maxwell.
Well, he's not far away from pole already. Only 22,000 separates him from or Edwards from LeMay at the moment. Maxwell a little bit further back, but he now does go to the front. It's pretty close again, but even so, it's fast enough. And we've got 3 drivers into the 114s. So what is that now? It's well, I can't quite do that maths on the fly, to be honest. What is that? 58 thousandths maybe between the top 3. It's very, very close. Anyway, half a tenth of a second roughly. John McCutcheon going pretty quickly again. He will improve as well, and this will be a jump up the order to 4th. It is, and he only goes 6 thousandths behind Edwards. Really close between the top 4 at the moment in this session, with realistically 1 or 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and as predicted, it is going to be that second gap between that top 12. I did say it would be about a second down to the top 12, and it is at the moment. Martina Ward is struggling a little bit, sitting all the way down in 19th, coming around that final corner. What is Martina going to do? Is she going to go over the line? 1:16.403, an improvement, but not moving up in the order for Ward there. Luke Maxwell's back out. I'm not sure he's going to actually be able to get... Possibly, actually, you might get one. No, I don't think he's going to get another lap in here as well. But yeah, some great times going on the board here. Mike Bousson definitely having a struggle at the moment, sitting down in 10th.
Yep, he is struggling a little bit, unfortunately, for Bousson. He's down in... where is it in the championship these days? I'm not going to be able to find him now. 10th place in the standings as well. Thought he was around there, and that's where he finds himself in this session. No there was an improvement, but no positions gained that time. John McCutcheon is the only driver who's towards the end of a lap right now with a purple sector, but that's not going to be an improvement overall for him. LeMay and Edwards are back down on pit lane. It really is going to be about Maxwell and McCutcheon, and even McCutcheon is into the pit lane. Everybody's session ending here. It looks like we're going to have 4 in the 114s. Luke Maxwell looks like he's going to be the quickest of them.
Yeah, it does, to be honest. He looks stellar. He's just gone into the pits here. I don't think that's going to be an improvement. What about James McRitchie, last week's winner in Spa. He's coming up the hill at the moment. 14 seconds to go as he goes underneath, drops down the other side. That right-hander he's got to take as well. What is McRitchie on the board? He's got some greens going on. 1:15.574. Not enough to move him into the top 5, but he does start 8th place. So there we go. It's definitely going to be an interesting one, as there's probably 12 drivers within a second of each other.
It's going to be a problem in the second race, I would imagine, James McRitchie, but we'll see about that a little bit later. Luke Maxwell and Paul LeMay are on the front row at Road Atlanta, then ahead of Simon Edwards and John McCutcheon. James Barry and Ben Underdown are on row 3 ahead of Paul Clark and James McRitchie, who we were just talking about. George Gonzaga and Seth Brown round up the top 10s. Mike Booston and Darrell Taylor were still within 1 second of pole. So were Clark Williams and Jamie Bird on row 7. James Child, the first driver, 1 second down in 15th. It's Martina Ward, 16th. Michael LeMay and Wayne Palmer on row 9 ahead of Damien G and Phil Jocelyn to round out the top 20. I believe that is going to be it for our grid here this evening. 20 on there, and it looks like everybody in the session is also in the race as well, which we don't always see. But a close qualifying means a close race, you'd hope. I mean, it's difficult to pick between the top 5 or 6 at the moment.
Yeah, and we actually worked out there was 14 cars within the top within 1 second there as well. So the top 14 within a second of each other, which is just absolutely incredible from these guys. So we'll keep an eye out, see how this one goes. Just wait for a few drivers to get on the grid. Clark Williams, Bousson, McRitchie and McCutcheon here as we take a look around Luke Maxwell's ITGL Partners in Positivity car there. So nicely looking SR10. Will it be in the same condition by the time he gets to the end of the race, Ewan? Who knows?
Well, possibly not, to be honest. It's pretty dusty around here sometimes. A lot of dirt gets dragged onto the circuit, so even if he doesn't have any problems, he might well do well to keep that car clean. Still waiting for Clark Williams, for whatever reason, to grid up at the moment. Not sure what he needs to rectify, but he's done whatever it was, and now there will be the 5 red lights coming on. It's the first race at Road Atlanta in round 6 of the Radical Race Series for the final season in 2023. It's underway and a good start from Luke Maxwell on the front. Paul LeMay can't stay alongside on the way towards turn 1, but Simon Edwards can for second place. He breaks early though. Lets Paul LeMay go round the outside of him. Does he go too far? Not quite. John McCutcheon stuck there, didn't want to make it 3 wide on the way in towards turn 2 and 3. Edwards gets through though with the inside at 3, and they both go up the curb. John McCutcheon goes around LeMay and tries to go down the inside through the S's. It's brave down there, but he's done it, and John McCutcheon's up to 3rd. Unfortunately for Paul LeMay, he's dropped 2 places on the opening lap.
Yeah, he's not had a good start. He will be kicking himself there for Paul LeMay. Lost a place to Edwards going up the hill as well. And the worst thing is, Edwards gave him the room to come across and take his nose off into turn 1. He had that space there. Edwards backed out and allowed Paul LeMay. Paul LeMay just went in too deep and unfortunately missed where he should have been on that outside line and put him out of sync for 2 and 3, put him out of sync for down the hill in 4, and then loses it to John McCutcheon. But Paul LeMay is not giving up here as well. He's just about to try and go round John McCutcheon. McCutcheon, is he going to hold him here? Yeah, and he does for this time, but it's definitely been an exciting start so far.
Very close, LeMay is as well to McCutcheon, and there's James Barry just behind, by the way, as well, in the grey and red. He makes a big move at the final corner, down in towards the inside of LeMay, and that's another position lost for Paul LeMay. He was looking for all intents and purposes to be on pole maybe towards the end of that session. With only minutes to go, he looked like he might have taken the pole here at Road Atlanta, but he was in danger there of dropping to 5th place. Barry couldn't quite get through, and now there's still a queue of cars going right down to the bottom end of the top 10, right behind Paul LeMay.
Yeah, it definitely is. Paul LeMay, unfortunately, just not hooking it up. It's going backwards. I think
Simon Edwards is off.
Edwards is off.
It's at turn 5. A really difficult corner to get right, and it's easy to get wrong. And there's the snap of oversteer. It's on the curb, it's on the bumps. He's kept it out the wall and done a very good job to do that, but he's dropped almost all of his places.
Yeah, he has at the moment here as well. We'll just get back to see what is going on at the front. Maxwell's out in front by 3 seconds at the moment. John McCutcheon right behind that as well. So he's going to have to still fight a little bit for McCutcheon because he's got LeMay, Barry, Clark and Underdown pushing up right behind him at the moment.
Was still in a very big battle further down the field with Daryl Taylor as well. And was back to 11th place again after dropping to 13th, I think, at worst in that back straight or that kerfuffle at the end of the lap there. So through the middle of that second lap, I should say. So Simon Edwards does need to gain some more places to get back up there for the second race, and it's important for the championship. Of course, he's only 7 points behind McCutcheon going into the day, only 3 ahead of Barry. It's still, of course, very close at this end of the season because effectively the results of the standings that were being shown there were effectively each driver's 2 best results, of which, you know, a lot of drivers can have 2 good rounds, and so it does mean it's probably abnormally close. But even so, you don't want to be having a round like this at this end of the season. Luke Maxwell still leads by 3.5 seconds, and that's because the fight for second is as fierce as ever. Paul LeMay is going to focus his attention now in moving forward rather than looking backwards, which is what he's been doing for a lot of this race so far. We'll see if he can do it now, though. Outside line, he gets very close to McCutcheon, who squeezes him back on the way towards the final chicane. That's not going to happen, though. McCutcheon stays ahead, and Paul LeMay will stay in 3rd place.
Yeah, he definitely will at the moment. McCutcheon there sitting in 2nd. He's got James Barry tucked up right behind him. There's action further down with Buisson on Gonzaga. They've just run out wide. Here comes Gonzaga now. He's going to try and push Buisson to the outside. Buisson backs out and says no deal there with Mr. Super Wide Paul Clark from iLounge Racing in front of us here as well. Always going to be difficult when you see Paul Clark out there in front.
It is always very difficult to find yourself getting through, and that's what Gonzaga, Buisson and Brown are finding at the moment. That's Seth Brown, who's on the back of this train, by the way, in the traditional bright green. Edwards just behind them as well. He's at least back in the top 10 again, Simon Edwards, so he will benefit for a race 2. And if he finishes where he is right now, he'll get pole, but he will want a few more points from this race. If he can get them, he's got about 3 seconds to catch up to this group, though. We'll see how much Paul Clark can help with that, because Gonzaga is closing in on him all over again. On the back straight now, Clark will move to the middle of the road, almost to give a choice to Gonzaga, who chooses the inside, but as soon as he pulls out the slipstream, he seems to hit a brick wall. He will brake a lot later, though. Very late on the brakes, in fact. He'll get it pulled up in time, and as long as Clark hasn't got an undercut and a good run on the exit, then he should have the place, and he will do. So that was late on the brakes, but he got that nicely done, did Gonzaga, up ahead of Paul Clark.
Yeah, James Barry's just got to go up the inside of Paul LeMay there as well. LeMay's down 2 places at the moment. McCutcheon's trying to get away from him here as well. Luke Maxwell is out in front, 4 seconds. Doesn't need to panic. He just needs to make sure he wraps up the win. That is going to be one of the important things for Luke Maxwell, is just finishing the race where he is at the moment and making sure he doesn't make any silly mistakes. Now, we didn't talk about that turn 5 curb Ewan coming out at the beginning of the broadcast there, but it is definitely for these cars if they get on them. Martina Ward and Clark Williams battling it out nicely here as well as they're going down into turn 7. As we look back at Clark Williams, I'm expecting this to be a move out of 7 on that run down into 10. So let's see what Williams could do here as well. I think this is about to be the battle of the draft, and I think Williams should make this position, but it depends on how hard Martina Ward wants to defend it here. But Williams is not getting as close as I thought he might have done.
Not close at all, and you just wonder whether that's down to straight line speed or the exit off of turn 7 or both, because there was absolutely no chance that he was going to even think about attempting it that time. Now, heading towards turn 1 for Gonzaga. He's still on the move here. This time it's on Ben Underdown, who's been, roundly overtaken there, and without any contest either, to be honest. Up over the top of the hill they go, and in the end that was very easy for George Gonzaga to get through ahead of Ben Underdown. Whatever reason, has not quite got the speed at the moment, despite having driven on his own for a while now. He's not been challenged by anybody until this moment, and now he's been overtaken straight away. Meanwhile, James Barry is in front of Paul LeMay now. That happened a lap or so ago, but 3 of these are still pretty close for second place. Kind of what we expected to see for the lead, really, but Luke Maxwell has just disappeared.
Yeah, he has. He's gone out in front. He's not had any of this to deal with. You can just see him in the top part of your picture going on the hill. There's been no need for Luke Maxwell here. You know, he's gone out. He's done an absolutely stellar job. As we're going to see, Paul LeMay now is going to have a go at James Barry. There he goes. Through he goes. And Paul LeMay does manage to get one of them positions back that he has lost. Can he catch up with McCutcheon? It's got to be a quali lap every single time now for Paul LeMay. He's got to make sure that he can get out and drop James Barry. He cannot allow Barry that run into turn 1 again. LeMay's got to make sure he hits it. Now hit it. Now go and show us what you can do. Show us the pace that you brought in qualifying. You'll bring it out onto the track here, and it will be basically going to benefit him if he can just get that pace he had. He clearly has it in that car, but that shaky start at the beginning may have cost him the race win, which I really do feel he could have probably got here today if he could just have kept it and got it off the start line.
It's a difficult one to call because I think Maxwell had a really good start to the race in terms of the way he got away from the rest of the field, and of course the fact that Edwards got removed from second place kind of helped to disconnect the groups, if you like. It helped to, Maxwell's gap over third place was always going to be fairly large, and so when you remove second and third place becomes in that second place, then you really do have a problem when you're in that second group. So I think, you've got to give credit to Luke Maxwell, and it's not as if he's been sort of holding the gap while on his own. He has actually been extending it. It's now 4.3 pretty much as we go back to this third group, if you like, if you're going to call Maxwell a group of his own. Boutsen getting ahead of Clark, and this is a good drive so far from Mike Boutsen. Really qualified in 11th place, made up 4 now to be in 7th as we get towards the latter portion of this opening race.
Yeah, he has. He's gone up 4 places. He takes a good move into 1 there, almost cocked it tight and then just drifted out before he took his line into turn 1. He's going to wrap it out of 2, come through 3. Now made a bad move coming out of turn 3. That's going to allow Paul Clark to get alongside him here, and it's going to be very, very close on this run down through into turn 10. I don't think Clark is just close enough at the moment to make it into 7, but I do think that he will have to run out. If he can hook up the exit of 7, Paul Clark is definitely going to be coming at Mike Boutsen. That's the thing. And now we can have a look and see he's basically got about just on that 3.5 10 mark. It's going to be tight here for Paul Clark, but I do think he might be able to get this wrapped up as he starts coming in now, and the gap is closing, and he's gone.
Oh, absolutely gone. And Clark once again quick on the straights, gets straight through on Mike Boutsen, and in the end that was fairly easy really. Boutsen now gains quite considerably though on the exit of the chicane. He'll go on the inside at the final corner. Very close between them. There's not a lot of room there either. And Seth Brown once again involved. Maybe go through the middle, maybe not. It's not a very wide entry towards turn 1, and certainly not wide on the exit either. Simon Edwards has caught up as a result as well. How many extra points can he grab? From 10th at the moment, he will be pretty pleased that he's got at least into the top 10. Maybe wants 3 more points for the positions that are ahead of him right now. But in the end, Boutsen has held on to the place. Was close around the final corner, but they all get away with it. And in the end, Boutsen leads the train, although the fight is certainly not over yet.
No, it isn't, and Edwards has got to make a decision. Good evening, Richardson. No, hello, what's all this then? This is SR10s at Road Atlanta. For Edwards, he's got to make a decision, right? He either puts 9 places between him and Luke Maxwell for the feature, and he could go out and win the feature, or he stays where he is. Paul LeMay is climbing all over the back of McCutcheon here as he's gone into 10A and 10B. George Gonzaga and Ben Underdown are running side by side coming out at the moment as well. Gonzaga there in front, Underdown trying to come around the outside of the final corner as he starts dropping down the hill. Now he's going to try and have a go into turn 1. Underdown's not giving up. He's going to be on the outside of 1. He does back off just a minute ago, and then you can see Boutsen, Brown and Edwards. For Edwards, he really doesn't and probably shouldn't need to make the move because that top 10 reversal race too, Ewan, puts him on pole, and it gives him a 9-car buffer to Luke Maxwell. So that's the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, the spins in roundabouts, as they say here, of what's going on with Simon Edwards. He's got a choice to make. It's now whether or not he needs to or wants to make that overtake.
I think once again, as Underdown and Gonzaga go side by side here, I think he can hedge his bets in that he will believe that he can grab these extra 3 points for these positions and still take the maximum 40 for the second race if all things go well. So I think he'll be hedging his bets in that way and still trying to make moves here if he can, but there isn't much time to do it now. George Gonzaga is in front of Ben Underdown, as we just saw on the way in towards turn 6, but that doesn't look like the end of that story either. Now down in towards the final chicane goes the two drivers. They're single pole, so is that group behind as well. A bizarre penultimate lap. No real overtakes made at all there.
No, Jamie Bird and James Child were having a nice little battle. Martina Ward and Wayne Palmer coming down into 10A as well. They're going to be running side by side. Palmer's not really had that car hooked up and he's sitting down in 16th at the moment. He's got Martina Ward and Damien G for company. There's going to be a lot of frantic action though as we go on to that turn from 7 to 10. It's going to be quite interesting because you've got McHutchison and LeMay have got that rundown. Then you've got Barry and here as well. We've got Zaga and Underdown. Then you got Clark, Bousson, Brown and Edwards. Then we've got Jamie Bird with Charles Darrell Taylor. So there's going to be a lot going on down that back straight. But let's start it off at the beginning one and see where we end up here and whether or not Paul LeMay is going to clear John McHutchison. And I can safely say the answer to that one, Ewan, is probably no.
It's too big of a gaps in the top 5 really for places to change. Underdown might be close enough to Gonzaga, but that will be the only position inside the top 5 contested for here. Underdown down the inside into the final chicane, and they're very close to each other. But Underdown goes on the inside. He'll lock up, he'll get it wrong slightly, and Gonzaga will try and go back through again. Meanwhile, Luke Maxwell's won the race up ahead, by the way, but who's going to win the drag race to the line between these two? It's Ben Underdown who's got the shortest run through the final corner, and he will take it. But a great finish between those two for 5th. Through goes Underdown. He'll stay in front of Gonzaga. That was a great battle to the line between them.
Yeah, it definitely was. And as we saw there as well with Edwards, he took the 10th place. He sat back and thought about it and thought there's no need for me to make that move. So great job there from him. James McRitchie will be coming over the line. He's just coming through 10A and 10B here, and he's done a great job as well. He must have had an off track. He did have an off track, did James McRitchie. What did he? Oh no, Simon Edwards it.
5 again.
Yeah, turn 5 unfortunately, but that's the problem with turn 5. It is always very, very tough, so they've got to be careful with that in the feature.
Yep, and every race around Road Atlantic is a very, very tricky corner indeed. Luke Maxwell has won the race though by 4.5 seconds ahead of John McHutchison, Paul LeMay and James Barry, who didn't really fight to the line. Ben Underdown finished just ahead of George Gonzaga. That was a great battle to the line between those two. Less than 200 separate them in the end. Paul Clark held off Mike Bousson. Seth Brown held off Simon Edwards for 7th and 9th, respectively. Jamie Bird just misses out on the reverse grid with Darrell Taylor finishing 12th, just ahead of James Child and Michael LeMay, all of whom still within 20 seconds of the win. Clark Williams finished 15th ahead of Wayne Palmer. Martina Ward was 17th. And then further down, Jamie G was in 18th. Everybody finished on the lead lap, by the way. Phil Johnson was only 34 seconds back. And then James McRitchie, less than a minute back. Shows you how close the field was. And despite 2 spins, 2 incidences for Edwards and McRitchie, there were no retirements, no pit stops either from anyone, I don't think. I don't think Ritchie came into the pit lane. Just lost a lot of time. But yeah, just shows you what a clean race that was, as well as a close one.
Yeah, it was. And we had 14 cars within a second after qualifying. So it was always going to be that way, I think. And that's the thing. When you've got some nice close racing, and Road Atlanta does deliver close racing, very exciting stuff. Do love Road Atlanta, said Richard Sidmore. Yes, he does. But that's the thing here as well. You know, when you've got that close racing, you've got that long straight to make a move, it's always going to be close. And if you can hook up that run out of 7, you can get them down into 10A. And I promise me and you can count, but we're not counting 8 and 9 that is nestled in the middle of that long straight, Ewan, that really, I would say, are not corners.
Yeah. I'm not going to call them corners, but we do around here for whatever reason. As I said earlier, you do see a lot of this circuit at this time of year, and so you do grow a bit tired of it. I've got both me and James, but I've got my 6th broadcast at this circuit in 3 weeks coming up on Saturday. It'll be on the JPB YouTube channel as well, of course, but you do see a lot of it at this time of year. Time for one more race, though, here in the Radical Race Series. It's race 2, the top 10 reversed, and that puts Simon Edwards on pole ahead of Seth Brown. Mike Booston and Paul Clark will resume their battle from the 2nd row, with George Gonzaga and Ben Underdown resuming theirs from the 3rd. James Barry will be 7th ahead of Paul LeMay, then John McCutcheon and Luke Maxwell rounding out the top 10. Jamie Byrne and Darryl Taylor will be on row 6. They're ahead of the 7th row, which is going to be made up of James Child and Michael LeMay. Clark Williams and Wayne Palmer will be on row 8 ahead of Marcina Ward and Damien G. Then Phil Justin and James Ritchie to round out the 20 drivers for this 2nd race as well. So everybody's pretty eager to get going here in the 2nd race, actually. The lights are going to come on very quickly here. Another long race here at Road Atlanta. 19 laps for the feature. As we reverse the top 10, we're ready to go racing again. Simon Edwards with a good launch from the front row. It's an especially good one from the 3rd row from George Gonzaga, though. He's already ahead of Clark on the way in towards turn 1, looking up the inside of Mike Booston as well. It was doing the same to Seth Brown. They all get through turn 1 cleanly, at least at the front of the field. Few changes of position further back, but Simon Edwards has gotten off to the perfect start at the front.
Yeah, everybody, I'm just checking, everybody got away from cleanly. Martina Ward almost running side by side with McRitchie on the way through 4. Almost had Phil Jocelyn for company alongside her there, but Phil did manage to keep back and not make any form of drama. Seth Brown sitting in 2nd place, but this is what Edwards needed to do here. He needed this. I think he did plan that first race, and if we ask him after, I would be very, very shocked if he turns around and says he didn't. James Barry there over the John McHutchison, and then you got Paul LeMay in the background. You got Ben Underdown in the front as well. It is literally going to be a drag race between all of these cars. You can see them just going there on that run down into turn 10 at the moment. They're 3 wide further in front here with Underdown, McHutchison and Barry. Is McHutchison going to take not quite, but he's going to have that run up under the bridge.
Still very close between them, and Underdown has gone through. On the inside is Barry, and he will go through on McCutcheon as well. They haven't made positions on those around them really, though. They're just fighting amongst themselves here for 6th place. Underdown will hang on to this for the moment. That was very close though. McCutcheon and I think it's Barry who are going side by side on the way up the hill now, are they? No, McCutcheon has gotten through finally, but what a battle this is for 6th place, and none of the main contenders really for the first race are now inside the top 5. Simon Edwards of course dropped away, so they're all a long way from the feature race win at the moment. This is what we normally see these days in the Radical Race Series. The race 1 winners do actually get quite close to doing the double fairly often, but that's not going to happen here surely. They're all stuck in this fight for 6th.
Yeah, Maxwell's down into 11th at the moment. He did win that race, first race of course here as well. Now we've got the run. We've got to be within, I don't know, it's going to be close, you know. He had to be within 3.5 tenths. Seth Brown, however, has got Mike Bousson for company, who is within that 3.5 tenth gap as we go out now. Bousson not quite through this time. McHutchison, Underdown and Barry. Underdown and Barry going to be side by side with Paul. I think that's LeMay in the background as well. So these 3 battling, and they've just lost a little bit of a gap to John McHutchison there as well. Somebody's in the wall.
James Barry. James Barry's off the road, and he's... where has he gone? He's off the road entirely, and he's dropping down the places. He must have hit the concrete on the left-hand side there. Think he must have damage, unfortunately, James Barry, and well, that was close through the final corner with Paul LeMay. LeMay gets on the curb, and he is at fault for that in my opinion, but even though he was unsettled on the curb, doesn't give any room on the exit there, unfortunately. As a result of that, straight into Barry, who goes straight into the wall.
Ouch, James Barry there, unfortunately. That was LeMay. He did unsettle on the curb, you are right, but he was not just one wheel on the curb.
And now he's off.
But he had,
he's off.
Both of them are off. What is going on here? Paul LeMay has just made...
Paul LeMay's off now.
Yeah.
So this is on his own, is it?
Yeah, runs wide in 6. He's going to be...
Okay, we'll get on all right, but still, loses a couple of places as a result of that. Now it's Brown and Bousson going side by side again in towards the chicane. Maybe those further behind, like John McCutcheon, aren't that far away from a podium place or a good result. Now into the final corner again, and everyone will be fearful now after that crash on the last lap. Seth Brown tries to turn the outside to the inside in towards turn 1. That's not going to happen. George Gonzaga takes advantage of them all and gets up into third place here in this second race.
Yeah, it does at the moment, but boy, oh boy, didn't Gonzaga throw a block over Seth Brown coming down into that turn 1. Brown went left, Gonzaga went left, and then it was going to be tight to see who was going to hold it, and it was Gonzaga there as well, so he's doing a great job trying to keep up with the second place man. I'm like, Bousson, of course, we've still got Simon Edwards out in front by 2.3 seconds. Then we've got this gaggle of cars here. This is where it's all going to matter, and now we've got your race 1 winner who is catching them up as well. So it's going to be very interesting in this mid-pack. Underdown, Hutchinson, Clark, Brown, Gonzaga and Bousson could be anybody's second place here as we're on lot 4 of 19. We've still got 15 to play with, and as you can see in the back, there's another line of cars with Darrell Taylor, James Child, Wayne Palmer, McRitchie, Williams and Michael LeMays. So it's all going to be very, very tight here, and see what happens as we're coming into that 10A and 10B.
There's arguably an even bigger group back here for the guys outside the top 10. For 10th place, I suppose, but most of them are outside the top 10. As there's a change for second again, George Gonzaga is certainly on the move and may well have gotten that place done now on Bousson as side by side towards turn 1 again. James Child gets ahead of Darrell Taylor on that occasion into 10th place, and that was easy enough, I think, in the end for Child to get through. Let's have a look at what happened in this fight for second as well, as through in the end went Gonzaga on the inside. Pretty easy move in the end, relatively so. Pretty easy move. Oh, that was Child, sorry.
Yeah,
this is Gonzaga.
Straight up the inside.
Making the move in towards turn 1. They're almost like identical replays, aren't they, really?
Yeah, they are.
different liveries on board. But yeah, easy moves for everyone in towards turn 1.
Yeah, it is. Turn 1 seems to be the run. If you can hook up that run now coming out of 10B, up over the hill, you do gather quite a lot of speed. And I think that's the thing for these guys. You can see in the background now, McCutcheon and Paul Clark running side by side. McCutcheon does make his way through there. He's going to be now tackling down with Seth Brown and Mike Bousson and George Gonzaga. So let's see what this man from Scotland can do. How close is he going to get to the people in front? Can Maxwell get anywhere near these guys? He's just that little bit far back at the moment, 1.5 seconds behind Seth Brown, Ben Underdown, who's the last one in this pack. So let's see what Maxwell's going to do. He's going to have to pull out that race 1 pace straight away. He's going to have to get on it straight away, and Bousson's going to have to stay on it because he's got Seth Brown in that bright green livery SL10 chasing him down, and it looks like Brown might get him.
Oh, maybe. It's a long way around at turn 6, though. I'd be surprised if he pulls this one off, and he doesn't even attempt to. With the presence of McCutcheon right behind, he'll have a go in towards the chicane if he can. But this has all helped John McCutcheon, really, and those else behind, of course, as well. The likes of Clark, Underdown and Maxwell have all caught up as a result as well. But it's all about to be on here in towards the final chicane. Seth Brown will be the one to go through first, and Bousson's a bit of a sitting duck on these straights sometimes. McCutcheon tries to find his way through as well. It's late on the brakes for Bousson round the outside, although he doesn't squeeze Brown nearly as much as he needed to there. So his teammate's just going to duck underneath him and say, thanks very much for the podium place. I'm going to try and chase that down at the moment, because 4th place is going to go to John McCutcheon for the moment. Bousson might well find himself going further back, though. He chops in front of Clark on the front straight, who has to go round the outside. That's not going to happen at turn 1. Then it's Underdown and Maxwell as well, who will be queuing up in line. Bousson has got to be careful not to lose all 3 of these places in pretty short order.
Yeah, he has. He's got to try and now gather his forces. Mike Bousson, he's lost 10 places. He's now got to get his head back in the game. He's got got to get this. The man from Somerset has got to go out almost and just do what he does best, and that's drive. He can drive, he is capable for Busan, but he's got to defend from Paul Clark, Ben Underdown, and of course our race 1 winner Maxwell. This pack is literally 3rd to 8th here, can get this position. You can see Seth Brown's under attack by John McCutcheon, so that's going to be an interesting one, and we'll keep an eye on that one as he comes down into 10A and 10B. He is going to get through, I believe. Here's John McCutcheon on the outside, and as you can see, Maxwell in the background is going to make that move as well, and he does clear Ben Underdown. Now's on the list is Paul Clark.
Underdown backed out of it, to be honest, because they went 3 wide there briefly. Maxwell was right up to the right hand side there, and I'm not sure whether he actually went through with that or whether someone backed out, and I suspect Underdown might have done. But they're all going for it again in towards turn 1 now. It's pretty close between them all over again, side by side. Oh dear, again, and through goes Clark this time. Underdown and Maxwell are side by side, a bit further behind again. It's Maxwell who prevails eventually on the way towards the S's. Now he will be through, with Jamie Bird benefiting from this, by the way. He is now starting to catch them all, but Maxwell is now finally through. It's taken him quite a lot longer though to get through this traffic than it has for McCutcheon, and so he will be losing ground to John McCutcheon, who is moving up the order and now looking at maybe 2nd place if he can.
Yeah, James Barry's entered the pit lane, unfortunately, and has been out. James McRitchie looks like he may have had another little bit of a diver off the side of the circuit and has dropped himself down into 14th here. We've got this Darrell Taylor pack from 10th. This is 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th, all really close together. You can see that pack up front just starting to spread a little bit. Taylor whacks it on the defence here as well. He's all right, Darrell, all right. We're weaving a jumper here, son. We're weaving a jumper on the way down turn 10. As he now goes into 10A and does manage to hold on, but boy oh boy, he did some effort trying to break the draft. Maxwell Underdown, Clark almost 3 wide going into turn 1.
And Maxwell is the one making up places. Underdown wants to join him as well. Clark is going to be overtaken by 2 in 1 there, and so Maxwell and Underdown both go through into 6th and 7th. What a fierce battle this has been between all of these drivers. Maxwell now finally through, and now we're going to get an indication of his pace. Can he get rid of these guys, or will Underdown stay with him and challenge him now even at the end of this lap?
Yeah, he's got to try and have a go. You can see the cars just going underneath us as well. That was McCutcheon and Gonzaga. Is McCutcheon going to take this 2nd place? Well, it's looking like a probability here for George Gonzaga. He could end up losing it now as McCutcheon closes in. He's already close enough. This is going to be a job done. This is going to be a done by the end of it here. He has pulled out as well, and there goes the yellow machine on the left-hand side of George Gonzaga. He is going to get through. He's going to run him side by side into 10A and 10B. He doesn't make it through there for Gonzaga. McCutcheon holds on, takes that 2nd place away. Seth Brown of Gonzaga now going at it as well as they're on the run down into turn 1.
Yeah, so round the outside, or at least staying in front, is Gonzaga. Seth Brown stays in 4th place, and these guys have stayed in the same positions as well, actually, over the course of the last lap. That's the first time that that's happened for a little while, but Jamie Bird is now a part of that group. There's very much a division in the field at the moment. The top 9 a long way ahead of the rest of them, other than James Barry, of course, who is out of the race at the moment, and that is going to be a big disappointment for him, and he'll lose ground. This will probably become one of his drop weeks at the end of the season, which of course we're going to start paying a little bit more attention to as the end of round 6 approaches. 2nd half of the season means we start to focus a little bit more on those type of things and try and work out what on earth is going on, because at the start of the season it's sometimes difficult to quite figure it out. So Seth Brown is not going away here, and George Gonzaga is going to be feeling the effects of that in a couple of moments' time, because Brown is very close on the way down towards the chicane, and no, this time no move made for that podium place. I think Gonzaga should have enough here to hold on to 3rd, but you just never know what's going to happen. The fact that McCutcheon has gotten through, though, probably means that he's secured 2nd for this race. Yeah, but we have still got 8 laps remaining here as well as they're going on to lap 11. So Gonzaga's still got time here. This Williams-Taylor battle still raging on here through turn 1. Palmer's off the side of the circuit. Oh!
Whoa, he doesn't hold it there, and he ends up losing a few positions to Paul LeMay. How did LeMay end up? Oh, he had contact with Barry, didn't he, of course, there, and went off the side of the circuit after that. There's been a change up here with Maxwell. It looks like Mike Busson's made a bit of a drama of turn 5, and unfortunately he might have gone off the side of the circuit. He did lose a position there to Busson. Underdown's now going to have a go at him once more, and unfortunately for Mike Busson, he could be in danger now because he's got Clark and Bird also not very far behind. The front 3 have spread out, while the front 4 really down to Seth Brown. You can see them all second gaps apart here, but it is this Underdown Clark Bird Busson battle as they come running down into 10A and 10B. Busson on the left, on the right, sorry, Clark, Underdown on the left, and Busson loses another position. He's unfortunately going backwards more than he's going forwards at the moment for Mike Busson.
I think these 4 will be quite well matched on pace though, actually, so they might well have a fight to the end for this position. Seth Brown will be defending from Luke Maxwell now, who's going to go right round the outside at turn 1. We'll see if that works, but it's a long way round there, and so I wouldn't imagine so. And the answer is no, he hasn't managed to quite do that on that occasion, but he will almost be pushing his rival right down the hill now towards the S's. He wants to get through here before the 4 behind really catch up to him. If Maxwell can get to 4th before that happens, then he'll be pretty glad about it. He doesn't want to get dragged into a really big group and a really big battle for this 4th place.
Yeah, he doesn't really, but he's got to try, and unfortunately for Luke Maxwell, to try and clear Seth Brown. Obviously, for Brown's point of view, he was having a nice little battle at Gonzaga. Unfortunately, just dropped back a little bit here as well. That put him 7. At the moment, he's where he is, Seth Brown. He's down 2, sorry, from where he started. So he has lost time. Luke Maxwell's now going to go past him as well. I'm not sure if that's a straight line speed difference. I haven't seen Brown make any contact with anything, so I'm not quite sure why he would be losing that much speed this late on, unless he's burnt up his tyres trying to stay with the likes of Gonzaga in front of him, and unfortunately that's cost him on what he's got left. Now Busson here is sitting in 7th. He's got Underdown and Brown. Brown's going to have a go through into turn 1 at the moment. He's not going to make it through this time. Underdown might get him on the run up into 2 and 3.
Yeah, we'll see if the move is going to be made. It's a decent chance actually, but can't quite do it on the way through there. It's really single line up through 2 and 3, to be honest, and so they get single file all over again, and those behind will be able to catch back up as well. So Maxwell is up to 4th place, but he hasn't been able to avoid this big group and getting dragged into it, although he does seem to have the speed to get away, and Brown and Underdown's fighting is only going to help here. Brown's exit off of turn 5 there was not good enough, and Ben Underdown's run around the outside at turn 6 was spectacular, and so he goes through into 5th place. What an overtake that was. I do wonder whether Brown is struggling for straight line speed at the moment, because he is being overtaken quite regularly there.
Yeah, and now it's going to be from Busson here, I think, as well, is whether or not Busson's going to take this into a 3-wide situation. Oh. He's decided he's going to go. They're going to go. Oh, Busson backs out. Brown looks like he may have missed his breaking point. Is he going to hang on to the SR10? He is. Underdown loses that position to Brown, but Brown went in like an absolute torpedo into 10A and 10B. I'm pretty sure he must have been full pedal on that brakes to try and get that to stop, but Seth Brown does make it back again, but I don't know for how long. I believe he's got to have something in that car for Brown at the moment. He looks like he is struggling with something, and I wouldn't be surprised if Underdown and Busson and Clark and Bird are going to be swamping Seth Brown very shortly. He's got to hook up out of turn 5. Made a mistake the last lap round, put himself down. He looks like he may have managed to get through this time, but he's still got to hang on down that straight.
Yep. It's quite a battle between these guys now, and I think had Brown not thrown the defensive moves that he did, Wilson would have made that 3 wide, and he might well be a bit aggrieved, or feel a bit aggrieved, that he couldn't do it on that occasion. Out of turn 7 they go again, and onto the back straight now, which does of course bind to the left and the right again, but whatever. Now in the slipstream, Mike Busson gets close to Underdown, who is going to be under pressure here. Busson seems very quick in a straight line. Brown's going to be caught by both of them. Is he going to be overtaken by either? No. Busson will get down the inside of just Underdown this time and move up to 2nd place in the group. That's 6th in the race. And Brown continues to hold on to fifth as they continue to lose time to those ahead and behind. But it doesn't seem to matter. They are in their own fight now. Brown defends again in towards turn one. Busan round the outside. That's not going to happen. And they'll stay single file through the first sector.
Yeah, Busan tried to go round Brown. Brown made a late move. Nearly took Busan's nose off as we go on to the front left of Busan as we drop down into turn four now. There we go. We're going to go left. We're going to go right. We're going to go left. We're going to go right. Now they're left out of 5. Up over the curb. There was a dab of the brakes from Brown in the middle of the into the curb there as well. Underdown's now going to have a go at Busan as well as we're coming down out of turn 7 here on lap 15. This battle isn't done, and the only thing it is doing is bringing this man Jamie Bird into it from that Racing 86 team. He is bringing it into this as well. I want to watch this run down to 10A, and then we'll have a look at why Phil Jocelyn is into the pits.
Brown is going to be on the defensive again, you'd imagine, from someone. Surely they're not going to be all single file on the way in here. This would be a miracle. They are going to be. Well, I don't remember the last time that happened. But, oh no! Oh! Well, it was too good to be true. Seth Brown spins from the lead of the group. That was 5th in the race, but now he's gone entirely and it was on his own. Busan didn't even make any contact with him as he was spinning. Never mind to instigate it. Seth Brown's down to 9th place. What a disaster for him.
Yeah, the problem was that always looked like he was coming. He went in too hot a few laps back as well, and that probably should have been his warning to maybe extend that braking point just a little bit. He can't be going in that hot every single lap, especially if we think his tyres were going, or he just, whatever was the situation, maybe his setup was a little bit too much as well. James Child, I believe, and Clark Williams may have made a little bit of contact. Williams is off the side of the circuit. That's LeMay. Oh
dear.
Oh, LeMay. No. And then he's done it again. Tight of an incident and then goes off the side of the circuit. Now, is he waiting for Williams to come back through?
Yeah.
No, he stays in front, I think. He stays in front of Clark Williams this time, and he has done, but I think he might lose it here. But under down with Busan, with Clark, with Bird, not quite done there. Richard Simler, these guys are legends. They absolutely are on a Thursday night in the UK Sim Racers Meet. In the, Radical Race Series. It's always been a great evening of racing, but what is Mike Busan going to do to clear Ben Underdown here? He's going to be looking up into turn 1. He's got his opportunity, didn't make it through. Bird didn't make it through either, so it's gonna be a straight run out on 10A and 10B again as we go on to lap 17.
Yeah, it's coming towards the end of the race now. Final 3 laps to go, including this one. Maxwell's got maybe a couple of chances to go through on George Gonzaga here as well, right at the end. So in the end, it looks like he will lose out on the day to John McCutcheon by a single point. But we'll see if, and that's only the case, of course, if he gets up into 3rd in this second race, by the way. So the more interesting battle, this one for 5th place, is now going to make its way towards the final chicane. Let's see where they're going to all end up. There's Maxwell just in the foreground. I don't think he'll be close enough this time, but Busan certainly is to have a go at Ben Underdown. Let's see if it's going to happen this time. No. I wonder if he's waiting now for the latter portion, maybe even the very last lap, because this is where the games start to be played. These drivers know that they won't be able to pull away from one another. They're too evenly matched for that, but they may be able to position themselves well for the final lap to make a last-minute overtake.
Gonzaga with Maxwell here up through into turn 3, the right-hander. It's almost blind, that right-hander. It's very tricky there. You've got to point it at a tree, believe it or not, on the left-hand side as you run up out of turn 1. We'll have a look at that next time around, and you can see what I mean with regards to the tree. The tree is the important marker because it will allow you to hit where you want to be on the entrance in here. Now for Maxwell, he has gained 6 places. The same as Wayne Palmer, mind you, who is down in 10th at the moment. But for Maxwell, he taken the win, he could definitely do with a 3rd place. That way, that negates almost what Simon Edwards did in race 1 by sitting in 10th place and wanting that pole position for race 2. And I'm sure, as Maxwell does clear Gonzaga, that was the situation. Is it going to be side by side coming up? Oh!
Well, how close was that?
It's still going.
Maybe too close, actually, in the battle for 5th place, by the way. But anyway, Maxwell's through into 3rd, is he? And he should have that position done. But I think in that group further behind, there's been all sorts going on. Now Gonzaga will go back to the inside. What a big dive it was for him. But Maxwell goes round the outside of turn 1 and holds on to that newly gained 3rd place. What a battle between those two. So close to making contact, but they avoid it. And Maxwell gets the place.
Do you know what? I can sit here now and can say how proud I am of George Gonzaga, right? We have been dying up in this commentary booth for George Gonzaga to do this, to get his muscles and his elbows out for the man from Portugal, to go out and show everybody what he can do. And he can do it, and I'm so proud of him right now because he has wrapped up a great battle with Maxwell. Yeah, he might not come out on top, but boy oh boy can he be proud of what he is achieving here. It is absolutely stellar as we're on the final lap of the race, and Simon Edwards is going to come over the line.
Yes, it's another win for Simon Edwards, the first feature race win of the 4th season in 2023. He's taken wins, of course, in the past, but this is his first this season. Further back, no changes back here. Bousson lost a place on that last lap on the one before, I should say, to Clark. And Ben Underdown holds on the last lap again. I think that's 2 5th place finishes for him and 2 very close 5th place finishes as well.
Yeah, he's definitely done a good job here. Martina Ward's going to come over the line in 12th. They've got Michael LeMay and Paul. It's going to be Michael ahead of Paul this time as they come over the line. James Child, Clark Williams also going to be really close as well, and Damien G is down here. Now this is why Damien G is where he is at the moment. He's taken a free wide battle with Paul LeMay and Clark Williams, and did he lose a nose? No, he lost a rear. Contact with Clark Williams, and that is why Damien G has finished where he is there, Ewan. But I think we can safely admit another great race from these guys.
Yep, a fantastic race, and Simon Edwards is the winner by just over 5 seconds. John McCutcheon second ahead of Luke Maxwell at the traditional 3 on the podium, if you like. George Gonzaga and Ben Underdown round at the top 5. Paul Clark, Mike Bousson and Jamie Bird couldn't quite get into that top 5. Steph Brown dropped away at the end, of course, with that late spin at the chicane. Darrell Taylor held on to 10th place after battling for most of that race with others. Wayne Palmer finished 11th, ahead of Martina Ward, then Michael LeMay and Paul LeMay, 13th and 14th. James Child was just ahead of Clark Williams at the end, and Damien G's spin at the end there sent him back to 17th ahead of Phil Jocelyn, who finished a few laps down, as did James McRitchie and also James Barry, who finished laps down as well after retiring at some point throughout the race. So, a very good evening of racing overall. Fantastic racing indeed. 30 laps around here at Road Atlanta over the course of the day, but it's exactly what you'd expect from this racetrack. Just great racing all throughout. And these radicals as well, to be fair, which always race each other well. But yeah, Road Atlanta always does deliver races like those two ones that we've just seen.
Yeah. Definitely. You know, the interesting thing is as well here is if you think you've loved that one, we're going to Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit next week. And that, as we've seen, has caused championship deciders at the past with the contact of Matt Hutchison and Paul Clark as well. So I'm hoping for a little bit more of a cleaner Brands Hatch. But you never really know. And let's face it, Brands Hatch is a great circuit. The GP circuit in SR10s is incredible. So these guys are really going to put on a show. And it's really going to be a great one. So if you love Road Atlanta, tune in next week because we're off to Brands Hatch.
Well, yeah, let's not tempt fate, though, with stuff like that. Let's bring in Luke Maxwell instead to the booth, and we can chat about those couple of races. Welcome in, Luke. Good to have you with us. Let's start with race 1, of course. I mean, it was a good start from you, and then second place, Simon Edwards, of course, threw himself off the road, and you had a very big lead from that point, but good pace as well. Were you kind of surprised to be in the lead by such a big margin again in race 1?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. Obviously, Simon showed really good pace. I know he hadn't had much practice due to illness, but he certainly turned up on it, you know, in the practice start. So he certainly had pace. But when he went off, and obviously it was a couple of second gap, I think, by that point, or a second and a half. I thought, well, I've just got to push like mad now and try and make sure no one gets in the tow, you know. So I did just push really hard. Tried to save the tyres a little bit, you know. just kept trying to set like really good steady laps, and then towards the end I could just take it a little bit easy on the last lap, but I probably did wait till the last lap before he eased off. So.
And it gave you a very big win in the end. Of course, it makes your job harder for race 2, which you never really completed until the very end of that race. Of course, you were battling with George Gonzaga. I've got to say, it was a fantastic battle, even if it was a relatively short one. Just tell us about those last few laps from your perspective, trying to get that podium.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough all the way through the field, to be honest. I made a mistake last time and at Spa, and thought, let's just go steady, right? Just take it easy and see if people fall away. A couple fell away, but most people stayed in it and stayed in the tow. So as soon as you took one, it was like, right, try and close the gap to get back on the tow again on the draft. But yeah, certainly the last few laps, Sergio and George, I think, were quite good battles. It was pretty good fun, and they didn't make it easy. And fair play to them. It was a good race for the podium.
How are you going to go at Brands Hatch? Do you think? I mean, last time we were there, it was madness, really. You were involved in a championship fight that kept changing again and again and again. It's probably not quite going to be the same this time. It is round 7, but even so, how are you expecting to go around there?
I do enjoy Brands. Yeah, it's a great track to race on. So I'm not. Road Atlanta's not my favourite. I'd always been it at Road Atlanta. So to finish with the car straight and pointing in a straight line, I was pleased today. So bring on Brands. Love a bit of that. We'll see how we go there.
Well, that is a success. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I'll give a shout out to you boys tonight. Doing a cracking job as usual. So keep up the good work. Thanks, guys.
Thanks very much, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Luke Maxwell, winner of race 1 and third in race 2 here tonight. In that second race, of course, it was Simon Edwards who took the race win, and we can chat to our other race winner of the evening. Now, welcome in, Simon. Good to have you with us as well. And let's start with the good things first. Race 2 went well for you in the end. A lot of driving on your own, of course, but getting the job done in the end. How did you sort of approach that second race, starting from the pole position after the disappointment, I guess, there would be after the first one?
Yeah, I wasn't really with it today, so I was happy with third, actually, on the first grid. And I thought I could hold my position once I got a better start than Paul. I thought I could stay in the draft, but I lost that pretty quick, and then just made silly error trying to make the time up before the tyres were ready. Kept it out the wall. But then I just couldn't get my head into getting back up, getting past anybody. So I fluked my way into pole, and I think that was the only way I was going to win that second race. So I'm happy.
At the end of that first race, were you intentionally staying back and staying in 10th place so you could get pole, or were you trying to get through in those latter 2 laps, but you just couldn't quite do it?
I was mistiming where I was trying to get a good exit out of the hairpin, but I just kept mistiming where Seth in front of me was going to brake, so I kept messing it up. So yeah, I was intending to try and take as many of those places immediately in front of me as I possibly could, but it worked out in the end. I think I'm probably happier.
That's 1-0 to me against James for predicting things that happen tonight, so I'm pleased about that.
I honestly thought, Simon, you just sat there. I honestly thought, well, I'm going to put 9 places between me and Luke. I'm going to gain points. I'm just going to stay here.
It was half in my mind. I wasn't going to make a silly move. So you're right, halfway.
Thank you.
What I was really waiting for is they were obviously battling ahead, and I was hoping to be able to nip past one of them towards the start-finish line on one of those last 3 laps. So that was sort of my secondary aim if I couldn't get a good exit out of the hairpin, but I couldn't get that right either.
All right, I was 50-50. I'll give you 50-50, Ewan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, trying to please us both this evening, so that's fine. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Sam, before we let you go this evening?
We'll give a shout out to JPBroadcasting, because you guys do great. I know you've had some issues in the last few days, but I'm really happy that you do this, and I do watch enough of them to know they're good quality.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Simon. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Brands Hatch coming up, of course, for round 7. But until then, we'll see you later, of course. Congratulations on race 2 win tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Simon Edwards there, race 2 winner here at Road Atlanta. No race wins today for John McCutcheon, but a good day overall, and we can chat to him now as well. Welcome in, John, as well. Good to have you with us. 2 podiums for you in the end, 2 second places for you, which is more points than anybody else has accumulated over the course of the evening. Was Road Atlanta one of these circuits you were looking forward to at the start of the season particularly, or is it just one of those nights where things have gone well?
Well, I made qualifying for a change, so that always helps, not coming through from the back all the time. But no, I like Road Atlanta. Nice wee track, nice flowing track. Some corners to catch out. A lot of fun.
It is. And in the end, you did have to obviously make your way through the field in race 2, which you did seem to manage a little bit quicker than some of the others. How easy or difficult was it to overtake around here? Because there certainly was a lot of overtaking happening for us to watch.
No, it's not easy. You've just got to pressure people into running a lot of wide and take the gap when you get a chance. I think the racing on the Clio's helped me a lot now, get the elbows out a bit. James can turn to that.
Yes. No, you did Clio's racing?
Yeah, he comes on a Monday. Mate, you should come and watch him. He's awesome. He had a bit of drama last week. Yeah, a bit of drama on Monday. I'm not going to lie, it was a bit dramatic, but there was a lot of drama going on last Monday. So, yeah, but no, he does a great job in the Clio's. He loves it. Look at him.
Brilliant week,
Monday night's the only night when things aren't going on, so it's the only night where I don't watch sim racing. So that's
but got to have a night off.
James can't get enough. He just, every night, just
every night. The man's a workaholic.
Just yeah, exactly. But yeah, how are you feeling about Brands Hatch coming up next time? I know last time we were there, things didn't exactly go to plan for you, let's say.
Mention that.
I'm sure you remember. How are you feeling about going there again next week?
Yeah, good. I like Brands Hatch. Always a race. Yeah. Good flat out corners. Big balls, take it around them quick. So looking forward to it.
Yes, we're looking forward to it as well. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, John, before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to James. Just thinking it's a bit of hyperventilating there. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. It was just the big balls to get round there that just made me chuckle. But yeah, no. Anyway, you carry on. Sorry, I'll sit here and say nothing.
No problem. No, just shout out to you guys. Thanks again.
Thanks very much, John, and congratulations on double podium tonight. We'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much, John McCutcheon. 2 podiums tonight at Road Atlanta. Speaking to us there, I'm nearly dragging myself around here in the commentary booth. That's not great. George Gonzaga will drag him up into the booth now and interrupt his conversation with Simon Edwards. Sorry about that. But welcome in. Good to have you with us again. Very nearly on the podium in that second race. Just tell us about those last couple of laps with Luke Maxwell when you were fighting there.
Yeah. Luke will be now my nemesis. He destroyed my dream of getting that podium. So yeah, it's no, but it was fun. I was thinking like, shall I defend or not? And I decided, okay, I might have a shot at it. I knew I was strong in the braking zone, so I was like, I'm gonna give it a try. But then on the last lap, I should have been more smart and trying to keep up with him rather than to try to do the best lap. And butchered T5, I think, and he just got away. But it was really fun. Yep. And I was thinking of you, James.
Mate, do you know what, right? I knew it, right? Because I sat there during the broadcast and I went, I love this George Gonzaga. This is the George Gonzaga that should be on track every single week because you have got the speed. And I love that from you tonight. You got your elbows out. You showed pace. You were in there battling. You were doing what I know and you can do, George. And that's the thing. And that's why I love this. So if you watch it back and you see the moment that I will sit there and I did say, I absolutely love this. He has got his elbows out. He's got his grrr. And he's gone for it. So well done to you, sir. Proud of you.
Yeah. I wasn't giving it up without a fight. I knew I had the chance for the podium, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. And like I said, I knew I was strong on the braking points, and I think I tested Luke a couple of times. But yeah, it was I need to admit, James, I was thinking of you. Oh my God, what is he saying or something? So I was,
Mate,
this was
it.
dedicated for you.
Mate, loved it. Absolutely loved that tonight. I thought it was amazing.
No, it was good.
The effect you're having on people, James, you're affecting the way that these races are raced.
I know, they're thinking of me while they're driving.
Yeah, you're literally affecting the way people are driving, which is a new level.
Commentators influence. I'm sure I'm doing something right then.
Yeah, an influencer. That's what he's going to call himself soon.
Yours my inspiration, James. Yes.
Love that.
Cool.
Well, I'd say it wasn't just podiums you were fighting hard for. It got to say in race one, it was you and Ben Underdown fighting for 5th place, I think it was, and that was arguably an even closer finish between the two of you. Kind of similar battle in a way as well. But yeah, tell us about that battle in the last couple of laps of the first race.
Yeah, the fight with Ben was also really fun. He's very quick. I've been racing with Ben, teaming up with him, and he's a really great guy. And I knew we were going to put a nice fight and respectful. And I think you can see that on the last corners on the last lap. We were respectful with each other, giving each other space. And I thought, okay, there's no way I'm going to pull a move here to try to win that. 10 meters or so to get the advantage. So I decided, screw it. It's on the next race, he would be a position ahead of him anyway. So I was like, yeah, that's good. I can live with that.
Yes, it was good battling towards the end of both races for you. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Actually, to Paul LeMay, because I used his setup from Garage 61. So... So thank you, Paul, for making your setup available for everyone. But yeah, it was a really good setup, and I think it did give me an advantage. And so yeah, shout out to him. It was really good. Yep.
The irony is you probably scored more points today as well than him.
Yeah. Paul LeMay had a bit of a rough one.
Had a difficult second race, unfortunately, did Paul. But yes, I think you actually scored more points than him in the end. Anyway, congratulations on that. A successful evening overall. Both good finishes in race 1 and 2. And hopefully we look forward to seeing you next week.
More the same, George.
Yep. Okay.
More the same.
Well, no. Actually, yeah. We'll see each other.
No, more the same. I want to see that George on track. That was epic.
Actually, I'm not going to be in the next 3 weeks. So any time that I'm going to show up, I'm going to put up a show for you, James. Don't worry.
Thank you, mate.
It's promised.
That's all I want.
Okay.
Thanks Thank you. George Gonzaga there. 2 good results here tonight at Road Atlanta. Speaking to us there at the end of the evening. That means, by the way, we might not see him again until Bathurst, which is in the middle of November. So we'll be missing George Gonzaga for a few weeks, unfortunately. Taking his drop weeks as well, I guess. But yeah, it'd be disappointing to see him not on the grid. But 2 good races here tonight at Road Atlanta. We're now at the halfway mark of the season, and things are going to get more interesting as we go along now. Next up is Brands Hatch, of course, and so many good memories for us in terms of watching those 2 races, which were absolutely fantastic. So many bad ones, unfortunately, for John McCutcheon, which we brought up to him a few moments ago. But it'd be great to go back there again and go back to Brands Hatch for the first time since the start of this year, really. It was a long time ago.
Yes, it does seem quite a while ago, to be fair. And I've got to be honest, this season has started flying as well. It's getting, a really good season. It's going to be a really great battle towards the end. And I'm so glad we've got, hopefully more than the normal 4 involved in this. I think this could be one of the most open seasons yet at the moment. So let's see what happens here as well as we go on and go into the next round. So let's see. And it should be a good one.
It certainly should. Make sure you join us again in 1 week's time for that, but subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel in the meantime. There's plenty of other racing going on over the course of the week. For now, though, we will say our farewells. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside James Parfitt, and until we see you in 1 week's time at Brands Hatch, it's goodbye for now.